Now that you're an expert on conducting an experiment, now you need to become an expert on evaluating experiments. So you could use this process when you evaluate your own experiments or when you evaluate other people's experiences that you may be using in your research phase of your particular version of the scientific method. So there are 4 steps to evaluating an experiment: analysis and conclusion, accuracy and reliability, improvements, and extending the investigation. So the first step that we're going to dive into and talk about is analysis and conclusion. So when you're conducting the analysis and conclusion portion of this, you're going to be determining if the data supports or rejects the hypothesis. This is very similar to what you do when you are evaluating your own data from an experiment. So you may have already done this step if you're evaluating on your own experiment here. So you're asking, does it reject or support the hypothesis, or refute or verify the hypothesis? You do this by looking at trends in graphs and data tables. So you're going to look at the results that might be published and determine if their trends are matching what they're saying in the written portion of their publication. Then you ask, do these line up with the expected results if the hypothesis were true? If yes, then you can proceed on to the next step. The second step is determining if it's accurate and reliable. So you're going to discuss the accuracy and reliability of the procedure used and the results and the final conclusion. So if the procedure is demonstrating that there are multiple independent variables and they're all not kept independent of each other, so if your experiment is invalid in that you don't have all of the result, you have more than one independent variable, then your reliability of your experiment is going to be off. You're also going to ask, do the procedures listed include all of the materials? So is there everything that the scientist may or may not have used, down to every stirring rod or toothpick? Are they all listed in the procedures? Are the procedures and data consistent with reported values? So if you have somebody that's conducting an experiment that is based on gravity, does their data show a consistency with the known constant of gravity? And then, do the procedures tell you everything you need to do, or did you leave steps out? So double checking that the procedure is 100% complete. The goal should be that somebody should come along, repeat the same experiment, and achieve the exact same results. The third step would be to determine any improvements that can be made. So you can discuss how the procedure could be improved to give a more accurate and reliable conclusion. Should quantities be listed more accurately? So if you just say a splash or a pinch or stir, how can you make those more specific? You could say exactly 1 gram, or a certain number of centimeters. Make them as specific as possible to give an accurate and reliable conclusion. Can quantities be listed more accurately? Should procedural steps be explained better? So if you just say stir the stuff, you could say, using the stirring rod, stir the mixture until the salt is completely dissolved in the water. And then you can ask yourself, where can you eliminate experimental error? So if you knocked a beaker over, how can you eliminate the experimental error there? If you're growing bacteria in a lab, you could write in your report, experimental error was limited by using a fume hood and sterile procedures, so that the bacteria from your hands doesn't necessarily get in the bacteria you're trying to observe in the plate. And the final step is extending the investigation. So describe any additional experiments that you may want to perform that could be carried out to improve the conclusion that you already made or to make a new conclusion. So you can investigate something that is linked by the same scientific hypothesis or theory, but not directly related. So that's the final step, extending the investigation and continuing on by repeating the scientific method later.